I'm going to be honest with you. I hate conflict. I hate confronting someone I disagree with. But I've also learnt that the ability to fight well is one of the most important skills in life. A friend and I once shared an apartment for a couple of years. We got along so well, sharing meals together, watching TV, hosting dinner parties, and just enjoying life. Then my friend moved to a new city. A few years later, she returned, and we decided to move in together again. But this time, something was wrong. We were having a lot more arguments, and there was much more tension in the home. So I asked my flatmate, "What's wrong? I don't understand. We've known each other for longer. We should be better friends. It should be easier living together." Then she said, "Well, Tanya, don't you remember what we agreed upon when we first moved in together again? Remember how we said that we wanted to be closer friends, and that meant we should be more honest with each other?" Well, I'm just being more honest with you. And the truth is, I don't like the way you pack the dishwasher. I don't like the way you let the bin overthrow before you empty it. It seemed our increase in conflict had come because we wanted to be better friends. You know, sometimes when people begin relationships, you hear them say, "Oh, we haven't had one fight yet." It's kind of their way of saying, "We have a great relationship." But in truth, it's probably not a good sign. It can mean that their relationship isn't strong enough yet to address their differences. They've either been ignored or covered up. Healthy conflict is a sign of intimacy. In fact, it's normal. Disagreements and fighting are to be expected because of our differences, our different personalities, backgrounds, and experiences. Each of us sees the same situation from different perspectives. Even the early church leaders, our great heroes of the faith, were not immune to conflict. Two of the church's most prominent, Barnabas and Paul, had a big fight over one of their team members named Mark. Barnabas wanted to take Mark with them on their missionary trip, but Paul didn't. After all, Mark had deserted them on a previous trip, and therefore for him, he couldn't be trusted. Their disagreement was so sharp that they parted ways. Barnabas took Mark and sailed one way. Paul chose Silas and went the other. There were also other big areas of disagreement in the early church. Issues like whether to eat food that had been sacrificed to other gods, and whether Gentiles should become more Jewish to enter the church. Even the most godly people in the world experience conflict. Conflict is inevitable, but research also shows that conflict in the church is often worse than in the rest of the community. How ironic. Why? Part of the reason is that the church often misunderstands conflict. We think conflict equals a lack of unity. After all, where there's unity, God commands a blessing, right? But the truth is, unity doesn't mean uniformity. It's not all thinking the same way. The image in Scripture is that we are like a body with many different parts. We all have different gifts and different backgrounds. All of the parts of the body are needed to grow. Each function together to offer their contribution to one end. Being in conflict isn't wrong. It can actually bring us closer together when handled properly. We must learn not to avoid conflict, but to do it well. Thanks for tuning in today to Everyday God Conversations. For more on how to do relationships well in relationship to God and having your own God conversations, subscribe to the fortnightly God Conversations update at godconversations.com.